So the other day, I was browsing the Wizard101 subreddit as usual, and I looked through a lot of information since I am somewhat of a bookworm myself. I saw a couple posts that interested me, which were the icebergs, and I thought to myself, what the fuck were most of this shit? And why is there an aging critical on the side? So I looked deeper into some of these things. Some were clearly conspiracy theories, and others were backed up by evidence. We're not gonna go over lore because I'm not here to read you a bedtime story. Anyways, these are just my results of the Wizard101 Iceberg from common to uncommon territory knowledge. Mushroom glitch. This is relatively well known to a lot of old players of this game, but I thought I'd talk about it for those who are new. This was many years ago. For whatever reason at the time, if you went into one of the areas in Azteca, you'll find this mushroom housing item where upon pressing X, you'll notice that it never disappears. But it still showed up in your inventory. Some players abused this and gathered tons of mushrooms to either get high or sell them. It kinda reminded me of the Breaking Bad episode where Hector would press the trigger to a bomb strapped to his wheelchair multiple times until it exploded. Ultimately, though, this later exploded in players' faces by KingsOwl handing them ban notices. Not literally exploding, okay? Not literally. It's a figure of speech. Gold isn't and wasn't hard to make in this game, and it really wasn't worth abusing 50 gold off a couple mushrooms. The Empower Black Market. Most, if not all, MMOs have a black market of one kind or another. Some are approved by the developers of the game, while others not so much. In Wizard101, the microtransaction type currency is crowns. The other type of currency that has any type of buying power, funny enough, is a trading card called Empower. It's kinda like caps in the Fallout universe. Players exchange them to get various crown items. These could include loot boxes, cosmetics, and other types of crap. Personally, I've never used the black market because nothing tempts me and I don't really give much of a shit for loot boxes, almost like the real life black market. I mean, I don't need drugs, I got the prescription kind. Creepy Moon. One spell in the game called Orthrus used to have a moon with a face that creeped out a lot of players when it was casted. I'm not exactly sure when it was removed, but with the recent Wizard101 updates, it was brought back again to creep on the unsuspected children who are now adults that still play the game. Personally, I think it looks beautiful, but maybe I'm just a child at heart. If it terrifies you to look at this moon, tough luck. Waterworks Pearl. Back in the early days of Wizard101, players used to run this one dungeon called Waterworks, which at the time provided the best possible gear. If you didn't have it, you weren't with the cool kids, so everybody was scrambling trying to get this gear as quick as possible. Anyways, within one of the dungeon rooms was a pearl. People thought collecting this half of a ball sack of a pearl would lead to lower drop rates on the final boss. This was relatively well known amongst the older players since it sparked a lot of forum posts about it. To put this shit to rest, I will be the first to say, although controversial, is that no, picking up anything off the ground will not reduce drop rates. You're better off picking garbage off the ground and increasing your Good Samaritan points. Omnipotent title removal. So in Wizard101, about every 10 levels, players will receive a title such as Initiate or Adept to show how weak you are. Back when level 80 was the max level, a lot of people, more specifically Christians, were angry with the level 80 title called Omnipotent. Now, I'm not a hardcore Christian at heart, although I did used to go to mandatory church on Sundays. But apparently the word omnipotent is supposed to be only for God because by Google's definition it means having unlimited power and able to do anything. And as a noun, it means God. Regardless, some, if not all Christians were angry at becoming God, to put it in better words. Having seen the outrage on the Wizard101 Central forums, KingsOwl later changed the title to Archmage. Hey, it sounds less cool, but I guess at the very least, it doesn't offend anyone anymore. Wizard101 Glassdoor Employee Reviews. Man, that was a mouthful to say for me. This one is a bit controversial because anyone can practically write Glassdoor employee reviews and say they used to work there. Now, if only getting a job straight out of college is that easy. So take these reviews with a grain of salt. Most of these employee reviews are pretty negative towards the company. One such review goes on in detail on what goes on over there. For example, making dead features such as allowing pet games to grant energy will get you fired. Adding skip turn features for battles will get you fired. Allowing more people to join houses will get you fired. So you pretty much get the gist of it. You work there, you're already fired. Imagine landing a job there and breathing, only to have your employer go, "What the fuck did you just do? You're fired." You know what? Pack your bags too. They probably took some inspiration out of the show The Apprentice. Again, like I said, take these reviews with a grain of salt. Old headmaster voice.
Run up and confront them. Be brave. I will guide you. Quickly now, pick another spell and cast it at one of them.
Not much to say here, besides he doesn't sound like somebody's dad anymore. Now he sounds exactly what he looks like. An old man.
Welcome to Wizard City, young wizard. Things here are not normally this hectic. There's a problem on Unicorn Way that absolutely must be dealt with before we can get you enrolled.
Hero 101. I've talked about this on the channel before, I even made an entire video on it. But basically, this was a game in development by the makers of Wizard101 and Pirate101. It was made during the time frame between these two games. The game was about learning the ropes of becoming an everyday average superhero. You know, like another somewhat well-known MMO game, City of Heroes. The game was presumably scrapped and never came out, either due to lack of money or resources. I'm not 100% sure about this, but supposedly a lot of the assets would later go on to be used in Wizard101's latest world, called Lemuria, which is a reference to H.R. Hufflepuff, or, H.P. Lovecraft. Banned treasure cards. I also made an entire video on this, so go check it out if you haven't, or if you just want to take a look at the full autopsy. However, in short, Wizard101 uses cards to cast spells. Treasure cards are just a temporary version of that. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading cards, treasure cards act as trading cards. Some are a lot more rare. The banned ones I'm talking about were just removed out of the game for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure. They weren't exactly all-powerful. In fact, I'd argue they were in line with most spells in the game. A few lucky players got their hands on them, and the rest is history. Pet instakill glitch. Lastly, I want to end off on this tidbit. This secret is somewhat well known now, but I will say it was kept under wraps for over a year since it was introduced. What the instakill glitch was, basically whoever you were up against in the first dual circle slot would get obliterated. It all stemmed from a pet talent. A pet combat talent called Draw Power. A fitting name for what it was. A pet combat talent is basically the ability for your pet to cast spells themselves on command. Now, the reason why this was probably hidden for over a year was the fact that nobody, and I mean nobody, really used this talent. It practically served no purpose whatsoever to most players. Nobody but me. And that was because at the time I was testing all the combat talents, lame or usable otherwise. What Draw Power was intended to be used for was, it sacrifices your minions to give you pips, not the enemy. It wasn't known to the public until a large Reddit thread was made on the subject. Personally, I contacted somebody at KingsL about this a year ago, and what do you know, it took them a little over a year to fix it. You know what, maybe it wasn't the Reddit thread that had like almost like 1,000 upvotes or whatever. It was my one or a couple messages telling them about it. Alrighty, if you knew all of these on the list, congrats. You want a Pop-Tart? I'm all out of cookies right now, so that'll have to do. I'm not really sure if there are other things that I've missed. If there was, then comment down below. Or, if not, you can tell me what you think about the video. I just might do another follow-up to this. Oh, and before we say our goodbyes here, I have a new Discord for the channel, so if you want to chat, you want to have any ideas, discussions, you can join it. We're pretty chill over there. Chill, not stoned. There's a difference. Also, I now have a stream VOD and clips channel. Sorry if it's getting long here. One last thing, if you're new, subscribing is just a click away. Other than that, I hope you take care, and I'll see you guys.